Everyone has their own theories as to who the parents of Rey are, but I think I've got a theory that might just explain it as well as how it fits into the larger narrative of Star Wars. I've been sitting on this theory for quite a while now. After rewatching The Force Awakens and reading most of the books in the new canon, while also watching the new TV show Star Wars Rebels, which is amazing by the way, I've pieced together what I think is the most logical path towards revealing it. Watching The Force Awakens, I think it's clear some of our favorite characters from the original trilogy know who Rey is. The way Han treats her on the Falcon and on Takodana shows Han knows who she is. Maz Kanata even asks him, "Who's the girl?" with the camera quickly cutting to the next frame. Now this can either be because he's just telling her what we, as the audience, already know, or he does actually know who Rey is and is telling Maz about it. Maz even confronts Rey in the dungeon in her castle, telling her the belonging she seeks is with Luke, not back on Jakku waiting for her family. Later on at the conclusion of the movie, Leia and Rey share an emotional moment, with Leia giving her a look that, to me, seems just a little bit more than one of shared grief. To me, it looks as if Leia has seen someone who looks similar to Rey. In the last minute of the movie, Rey seeks out Luke and holds out his lightsaber to him. His facial expressions show someone who's conflicted as what to do, but you could also say that his face shows signs of pain. Obviously, we don't have the full story yet of what transpired at his Jedi Academy between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, but what we do know is that in Ben's turn to the dark side and the fragment from Rey's Force back, Ben destroyed the school along with the other Knights of Ren. To the casual observer, it would seem that Luke doesn't want to go through the pain again with having to train Rey. But I think it's much more than that. I think Rey is the lost long daughter of Luke. Now bear with me, because I'm about to drop some serious speculation here, so if it's not your thing, I would suggest watching another video. My theory is this. Rey is the long-lost daughter of Luke. You see, after the events of Return of the Jedi, Luke went on a fact-finding mission for anything relating to the Jedi. We see him in one issue of the Shattered Empire miniseries, which is a great read, but other than that, he is only mentioned in other works between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. During this time, Luke most likely searches the galaxy for information about the Jedi, and almost certainly ran into Force sensitives along the way. After a time, he was able to start a training academy where he would instruct future Jedi. On one of these journeys, Luke meets and falls in love with a woman who's very strong in the Force. They eventually marry, and he teaches her to become a Jedi, even giving her his first lightsaber, the one that he lost on Cloud City, which he has since recovered. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking this character sounds a lot like Mara Jade from the old EU. Although it would be very interesting to see her adapted in the new Star Wars canon, it is highly unlikely Lucasfilm will choose to do that. They want to put their own spin on Star Wars, and I don't blame them. Eventually, Luke and this woman have a child together, Rey. Luke wants her to become a Jedi, but his wife is skeptical of doing so. She doesn't want Rey to follow in her family's footsteps and become a Jedi, exposing her to unnecessary danger, which is understandable considering the history of the galaxy up to this point. Huge Jedi Purge flashback, yay, people dying! Bad stuff. Luke insists, but his wife refuses. She takes Rey and flees without giving Luke any idea to where she is headed. Luke, ultimately regretting his decision and wanting his family reunited, searches the galaxy for them. He is finally able to get a lead on them, but is too late. At this time, we are introduced to Snoke, and his agents are able to intercept them. I believe that Snoke is an ancient Sith who's been hiding in the unknown regions of the galaxy, waiting for his time. It is only after the defeat of the Empire that he emerges and disguises himself as a businessman that helps to build the New Republic. This gains him popularity with normal citizens, and a clever alibi into anything dark-side related. The ship that is carrying Rey and her mother is destroyed. Rey is able to somehow escape due to a last-second intervention on the part of her mother, but Luke is not aware of this. He hunts down Snoke and almost kills him, being the cause of his injuries that we see in The Force Awakens. He desperately continues the search for Rey, but unknown to him, Rey is taken to Jakku where his presence is hidden from him due to the planet being a nexus of Force energy, something that we see in the last Aftermath novel. Thinking his family's dead, Luke returns to the Academy and devotes himself entirely to training Ben in a new generation of Jedi in hopes of redeeming himself. He gives Ben his first lightsaber, something that can be seen in The Force Awakens when Han questions Maz about the lightsaber in the castle, and Ben saying, "That lightsaber is mine," in the final fight. The years go by and Luke continues to train Ben in the ways of the Force. However, when it is revealed to the galaxy that Luke and Leia are the children of Darth Vader, Ben begins his descent into the dark side. It is here that Snoke meets Ben, posing as the unsuspecting businessman, and begins to turn him to the dark side. Han, Leia, and Luke all attempt to reach out to Ben, but he is too far gone. Luke takes away his lightsaber, but loses Ben fully in the process. It is here that Ben turns some of his fellow pupils at Luke's Jedi Academy and destroys it all. Han and Leia split up, and Luke goes into exile, believing he has failed yet again to protect those that he cares about. This to me is the essence of Luke's story arc in Star Wars. In The Empire Strikes Back, he wanted to desperately protect Han and Leia, even giving up his training in order to do so. In Return of the Jedi, he again wanted to protect Han and Leia, along with trying to bring his father back to the light side while still rejecting the dark side, something that no one else believed possible. Allowing the death of his family, his students, and the turn of Ben to the dark side, this sends Luke into a downward spiral. He is experiencing so much pain and suffering that he imposes himself into exile and attempts to find answers. He discovers the information he seeks by the Force in the prophecy of the Chosen One. More on that later. So when Rey approaches him on the island and Luke sees the splitting image of his wife, he can't help but feel all these emotions rushing back to him. He has no desire to train Rey in the ways of the Force because he believes it will only lead to more pain and suffering. But through her pleading, he'll eventually give in, but won't tell her that she's his daughter. I have a feeling that will be the job of Snoke or Kylo Ren in the third act of The Last Jedi. It will create conflict for Episode 9 between Rey and Luke, because who doesn't love family drama in Star Wars? But you might be asking how this fits into the larger narrative of Star Wars. I also have a theory on that. You know how originally Star Wars was supposed to be about the tragedy of Darth Vader and the battle between good and evil, among other things? I think it's moved just beyond Vader to include the whole Skywalker family. I mean, heck, everyone at Lucasfilm these days are saying how the episodic installments are about the story of the Skywalker family. So why exactly is that one family so important in galactic history? I think it's because the prophecy of the Chosen One was wrong. Ever since it was introduced in The Phantom Menace, it's been a hotly debated topic among Star Wars fans. When Qui-Gon Jinn first brings it up, it sounds super old, something the first Jedi prophesized. The Jedi Council never really believed Anakin was the Chosen One, even though Anakin was born of the Force. During the time of the Revenge of the Sith, the Council began to question whether Anakin was the Chosen One or not. Yoda even said, the prophecy misread could have been. At the time, we the audience just assumed it was foreshadowing at Anakin's eventual turn to the dark side. But what if it wasn't? What if it was hinting at something even bigger? The Chosen One can mean a lot of different things if you think about it. It doesn't have to be just one individual. That's why I think the Skywalker family is the Chosen One, not just Anakin. A child born of the Force and their children after them will destroy the dark side and bring balance to the Force. We haven't seen The Last Jedi yet, but Luke's ominous line at the end of the trailer, "It's time for the Jedi to end," brings in a whole new dynamic to the Star Wars universe. The Jedi, meaning both Luke and Rey, possibly even Ben, will have to evolve in order to truly bring the Force into balance, and the Skywalker family has the ability to do just that. I'm not the only one to really buy into the fact that Disney will want to make another trilogy consisting of episodes 10, 11, and 12. I think 9 movies is more than enough to tie up the loose ends of Star Wars and make it into a cohesive narrative. So that means by the end of episode 9, the Force will be brought into balance and the main Star Wars story will end with a new version of the Jedi, most likely. At least, that's what I think. There's really not a whole lot I've based my theory on here, other than the fact that it would make the most sense if you take into account the previous movies in the franchise, but what do I know? I'm just a butthurt fanboy who really wants to see an Old Republic timeline movie/TV show. I mean, come on. I really want to see Revan, or like the Hammerhead Corvettes like back then. It'd be so cool. So let me know what you think of this theory in the comments below, or even your own theory about the direction of Star Wars. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you next time.